Hey YouTube, Kyle here, Collecting America's Pastime. Hope you guys are doing okay. I told you before that I'm not really going to be doing these videos anymore, these mail day type videos, but I had a week of mail days that warranted such a special video. So I had two pickups that were huge, and the stories behind them were even better. So, or even even if the story wasn't as good, the deal there was warrants its own video. So before I get into that, around the time this video comes out, maybe before, Akron will be playing Kent in basketball tonight. Huge rivalry, go Zips. um, that is the MAC version of Duke, North Carolina. The schools are 15 minutes apart, so really loathe Kent, and um, yeah, so go Zips, beat Kent. So anyways, getting into the cards. The first one, the first pickup I had in the first story, is an 1889 Old Judge Amos Rusi. So I bought this card in January on eBay for $615. It was an auction. There was plenty of action on the auction, and for whatever reason, it just stayed low. Amos Rusi cards typically go for around $2,000, which is why I was stoked to win this one. The card in the listing was stated to have been in a house fire, so it had some smoke damage to it, and the image was quite faded. But that's okay. Again, it's a Rusi for under $1,000. I was thrilled. Anything over, I think $299 is the threshold. It gets sent off to eBay authentication, so that's where this card went. eBay authentication had the card for about 2 weeks. And about 2 weeks ago, I got a notification that it had failed eBay authentication. So I was shocked, and a little bit bummed, but mostly shocked because I thought the card was real. I was pretty confident, actually. The seller, I messaged the seller and told him, hey, if you send this to a third party, I told him my doubts on eBay authentication's ruling. And I said, if you want to send this to a third-party grader for another opinion, I will gladly pay you for the card and then any grading costs associated, shipping, grading fees, etc. He sent me back a photo with his phone number in it, to subvert the eBay AI, and I gave him a call. On the phone, he told me that he has a collection of these, that he sold a couple others that passed eBay authentication, and he was shocked that this one didn't pass it. So he said, I'm going to send you the card for free. Once you determine it's authentic, you can just send me $500 and we'll call it even. That way you're compensated for your hassle. I get a little bit of money, and we're good to go. So I took him up on it. And after eBay sent him the card back, he sent it to me, and I got it in on Monday, which was 5 days ago. So get the card on Monday, open it up, taking a look at it. I think it's real. With old judges, there's a couple things to look for, and I learned a bit more through this process, but there's a couple things to look for. Old judges are, the photo is an actual photo layer that is layered on top of thicker cardboard, and that you could see with all the wear and tear on this, you could see the layer for the photo. So that made me feel good. Number two, the cardstock, with all the wear and tear on this, you could see that the cardstock looked really good. The thickness was there, the fibers looked right. Everything just looked good about it. But I wasn't 100% sure, and so I sent a few photos to a couple people. Dan McKee and Andrew Nuffsaid Cards were the two big ones. They both liked it, but they weren't 100% sure and wanted to see better photos under a loupe. So I bought a loupe Monday on Amazon, and it got there Tuesday. After I bought the loupe on Monday, I wanted to do some more digging while I was waiting for the loupe to arrive on Tuesday, and I called eBay Authentication and asked for an explanation as to why they failed the card, just so I could see if there was something that I'm missing. The note that the authenticator left on the grading report, or the authentication report, was that the card was in too poor condition to authenticate. Not that it was inauthentic or authentic, but just that it was too poor condition to determine. So it didn't actually fail authenticity. Somebody at the authentication, eBay authentication just wasn't comfortable giving a ruling based on the condition or based on their expertise or lack thereof, etc. That made me feel really good about the card. And so Tuesday rolls around, and I get the loop. I put the card under the loop, take some photos, with the magnification, and sent that off to Dan, Andrew, Nuff Said Cards, and I posted it in the Old Judge Facebook group. Overwhelming response was, that is 100% authentic. So I was thrilled with how that turned out. Just absolutely thrilled. So I told the seller, really thanked him for trusting me with the process. And so Amos Russi is knocked off the Hall of Fame project list, which is a big one to knock off. I've never owned an Amos Russi before. So thrilled about that. But apparently God was not done with the biggest, best deals week of my hobby life, because went to bed Tuesday night really happy about the Old Judge. Woke up Wednesday morning, checked eBay and all my saved searches, and I have a saved search for 1895 Mayo. For those of you who don't know, the 1895 Mayo set is a really, really cool, unique set with a lot of Hall of Famers. And they're all black on the back. They have black borders, really cool sepia / black and white type photos. Just really, really cool cards. And there was a hit for one, and I get hits for these quite often, or hit for that search quite often, because it's always reprints. So I click on the save search, and a Kid Nichols pops up, and there was some paper loss on it, and stuff like that. It didn't look like a typical reprint, at least at first glance. But the price it was at, and I'm not going to tell you the price yet, the price it was at was so absurdly low that I thought, no way is that a legitimate, authentic 1895 N300 Kid Nichols. So I click on the listing and start doing some further investigation, zoom in on the photo, all that stuff. Everything starts to look pretty good about this card. The fibers on the wear and tear, on the paper loss, looked perfect. The color of the black looked good. The color on the photo looked good. The edging, just it all, the text, it all looked good. And I was quickly comparing this to some other N300s out there, and I took some screenshots of the photos, of the listing photos, and sent them to the aforementioned parties that were helping me with the Old Judge. And while I was waiting for a response, I was looking at the listing again, and I checked the details, and it said original. So it was listed as original, and it said returns accepted. So I was feeling pretty good about it. If I bought this to take a chance on it, I'd be able to return it and get my money back. And I looked at the seller. The seller had, I think, a couple thousand reviews, or several thousand reviews, if I'm not mistaken. 99.5% positive feedback, which is excellent. And his store was littered with antique / vintage stuff, including a bunch of period correct cards. There was one other sports card from that period. It was a T205, and it was legitimate. And then there were a bunch of like N2 Native American cards and some other historical cards that were all legitimate. I've seen enough of those to be confident. So everything was setting up for this card to be good. So still didn't get a response. This was only a few minutes, but time felt like it was taking forever. So I ended up buying the card, and just was praying that it was real. And I started to get some responses back, and all Dan and Andrew both said they looked good to them. So my confidence was really starting to go up on that purchase, and it was already pretty high. The my next worry was that the seller would realize what he had just done, um, and cancel the sale. So I was sitting there praying that he wouldn't cancel the sale. Sure enough, I think it was like 30 minutes later, I got a notification that tracking had been updated. And then like an hour later, I got a notification that USPS was in possession of the card. So it was on its way to me, which I was really hyped about. Spent the last 2 days, hoping that, talking to some people and like, hey, looks pretty good. But that price, it's probably just too good to be true type of thing. Well, it arrived today, and I pulled it out of the package. I looked at it, and man, it looks good. The Everything about it looks right. And I put it under the loop, sent the loop photos out to some people. Again, the aforementioned parties. Every single response was, that is 100% authentic. So I now own an 1895 N300 Mayo's Cut Plug Tobacco Kid Nichols. Really tough Hall of Famer. Not too many cards out there. His most affordable card isn't even a photograph of him. The 1906 fan craze is his most affordable card. It's like $300 to $500, I think. But it's, I think, Charlie Nichols that's listed on, or that's pictured on there, which is not Kid Nichols. So he's just a tougher Hall of Famer. And these N300 Kid Nichols, from what I was looking at, I believe it's around $2,000 minimum for what it's worth. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but around $2,000. I paid. So let me start with the listing and why I thought it was fake. Or why I was worried that it was fake, not why I thought it was fake. The buy it now price on this listing was $24. Shipping and handling and tax out the door, I paid $30.90. Subtract 3% for the cash back I get, and it was $29.97. So I got a N300 Kid Nichols for under $30. And that is what concludes the best week of deals I have ever had in the hobby in my entire life. So I paid a total of about $530 combined for around $3,500 to $4,000 in cards. Just unbelievable. This is a high I will be on for a while. And just incredibly thankful that for whatever reason I was chosen as the one to find those deals. And yeah, so anyways, thank you very much for watching. I know this isn't one of my series episodes, which one of those is coming out on Sunday, by the way. Stay tuned. It's a big one. But it's not one of my series videos, and I don't really want to make too many of these types of videos, but if deals keep coming like this, I will gladly make these types of videos. So I broke 2 rules. I usually don't talk about price, and I usually don't talk about, or usually don't do mill day videos, but rules were meant to be broken, and that's what this video did. So anyways, 2 really tough Hall of Famers knocked off the list for very, very affordable prices. And yeah, I'm thrilled. I'll probably get them graded at some point. I really don't want to ship them in the mail to a grading company. I'm probably going to go with CGC, so I got to figure out how I can get it to them, maybe in person at a card show if they go to those. I haven't figured that out, but regardless, I'm very confident these are authentic based on the parties that were giving me the nod of approval, and I provided enough photos and details and all that stuff, and they all liked it, and I just can't believe it. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. Go Zips, beat Kent, and live free, dream big.